Listen, let me cut through the noise for you. If you've ever sat there trying to figure out women like you're solving some impossible math problem, relax, you're not alone. Every guy has been there, overthinking a text message, replaying a conversation in his head, asking himself why she laughed at his joke yesterday but looked bored today. And here's the truth. Most men don't want to admit. You don't actually understand female psychology, not even close. And it's not because you're dumb or broken, it's because nobody ever taught you how women actually work. Instead, you grew up on Disney movies, sitcoms, and rom-coms that fed you this fairy tale version of women being these delicate, mysterious creatures waiting for Prince Charming. In reality, they're not mysterious, they're emotional. And emotions are like the weather. You don't control it, you don't fully predict it. You just check the forecast and adjust. Here's the first big mistake men make. Thinking women analyze us the same way we analyze them. They don't. You could sit there for 3 hours debating with your buddies about why she used a period instead of an emoji, while she's sitting on her couch eating ice cream, totally forgetting she even texted you. You're building an entire Netflix series in your head while she's already moved on to watching the actual Netflix. That's the first rule of female psychology. They don't live in spreadsheets of logic the way men try to. They live in moments. They respond to feelings, not flowcharts. I'll give you a real example. Back when I was 22, there was this girl at my university. Beautiful, intimidating, way out of my league, at least in my head. I spent weeks planning the perfect approach. I knew her schedule, where she got her coffee, even what books she read. I basically turned into James Bond for dating intel. And when I finally approached her, I had this speech in my head. Everything lined up perfectly. Guess what? None of it mattered. She was having a bad day because her cat was sick. Nothing I said could land because her brain was elsewhere. 2 weeks later, I randomly bump into her at a party. No plan, no strategy. I say something dumb about the music being too loud, and she laughs. Boom, we date for 2 years. Why? Because that night she was in the right mood, the right moment, the right emotional space. My perfect plan didn't matter. Timing and feelings did. That's the pattern you need to understand. Women are like shifting weather patterns. Sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's cloudy, and you thinking you can logic your way into making it sunny all year long is insane. Most men try to change the weather. They think if they say the right line, wear the right outfit, or flex the right income, they'll force sunshine. No, bro, that's not how it works. The only smart move is learning how to read the weather and adjust your vibe accordingly. And here's where it gets wild. Even women don't fully understand their own psychology. Ask a woman why she fell in love with her boyfriend and she'll give you a list. He's funny, he's kind, he's ambitious. Sounds good, right? But in reality, that's just her brain writing a story after the fact. Attraction doesn't happen because of a checklist. It happens first, and then her brain fills in the checklist to justify it. It's like craving chocolate. You can say, I like it because it's sweet and creamy, but really your brain is firing off dopamine and serotonin, and you're just explaining it afterwards. That's the second rule of female psychology. Feelings first, logic later. Always. She feels drawn to you, then she tells herself why. She feels turned off, then she creates excuses. The feeling drives the narrative, not the other way around. That's why you can't argue your way into attraction. You can't say, look, I've got a stable job, I go to the gym, I'm reliable, therefore you should date me. Bro, that's not a love letter. That's a resume. And no woman has ever fallen in love with a resume. Want me to blow your mind? Women don't actually know what they want until they feel it. They'll tell you they want tall, dark, handsome, rich, funny, but then they fall head over heels for a broke guy who plays guitar badly in his garage because he makes them feel something. What women say they want and what flips the attraction switch are two completely different worlds. It's like asking someone what they want to eat when they're full. They'll say salad, grilled chicken, all the healthy stuff, but when they're starving, suddenly they're downing gas station nachos at midnight. Desire doesn't come from lists, it comes from the moment. Here's the sting that most men can't handle. Women respect men who don't need them. The more you orbit her like she's the sun and you're a planet, the more she loses interest. Why? Because your neediness kills attraction. Imagine a scale. On one side is your value, on the other is your need for her. The more desperate you are, the lower your value feels to her. That's why guys who give up their hobbies, cancel on friends, and make a woman their entire universe always end up blindsided when she leaves. She didn't want a servant. She wanted a man with his own orbit, his own gravity. And don't get me wrong, women do want stability. But stability without excitement feels like a rom-com you've already seen 10 times. Safe, predictable, boring. Women don't consciously say, I want drama, but their emotions crave challenge, novelty, unpredictability. That's why women stick with guys who frustrate them, confuse them, sometimes even hurt them emotionally, because those men keep them feeling. Meanwhile, the nice guy who's always on time, always agreeable, always predictable, makes them feel nothing. Comfort, maybe. Safety, sure, but not passion. And passion is what women chase, even if it means making questionable decisions. I knew this lawyer once. Good-looking, successful, genuinely kind, treated every woman like a queen. And guess what? He could never keep a relationship longer than 3 months. Why? Because he was too perfect, too predictable, no tension, no challenge. Dating him was like watching paint dry, safe but boring. His girlfriend dumped him for a bartender who had no job stability, lived with his mum, and gambled half his paycheck away. Sounds crazy, right? But that bartender made her feel. One day he was romantic, the next day distant. One day he talked about their future, the next day he wasn't sure. Emotional roller coaster, and she was addicted to the ride. So here's the third rule of female psychology: emotions over logic, every single time. If you make her feel alive, you win. If you make her feel nothing, you're already dead. Now let's talk about something that confuses almost every man alive: the way women communicate. And I don't mean just what they say. I mean the way they package what they say. If you listen to women the same way you listen to your buddies, you're already lost. Because men talk to exchange information. Women talk to exchange emotions. Big difference. Here's what that looks like. A guy comes home from work, stressed out, and says, "Traffic sucked today." Another guy hears that and says, "Yeah, same here. Took me 40 minutes. Done. End of story." But if a woman comes home and says, "Traffic sucked today," she's not giving you a traffic report. She's inviting you into how she feels. She wants you to notice her mood, maybe ask, "Damn, that sounds rough. Did anything happen?" That's her way of saying, "Connect with me. Don't just trade facts." And when men miss this, they think she's being dramatic, or vague, or difficult. No, she's being emotional. That's her language. And this is where so many men screw it up. She's telling you about her boss, or her friend, or how her barista spelled her name wrong, and you thinking you're being helpful, jump in with a solution. Well, just tell your boss to back off. Boom, wrong move. Because now she doesn't feel heard, she feels dismissed. To her, you just said, "Stop talking about your feelings, fix it already." She wasn't asking you to fix it. She wanted you to sit in the feeling with her. That's why you'll hear guys complain, "Man, I don't get it. She tells me her problems and then gets mad when I try to help." It's because you're speaking Spanish and she's speaking French. You're trying to solve when she's trying to connect. Here's a pro tip. When a woman tells you something emotional, don't rush to the solution. Reflect her feeling first. If she says, "My boss was so rude today," you say, "That sucks. I can see why that pissed you off." Boom. Connection made. Once she feels validated, then you can gently throw in advice if it's needed. But skip that first step, and she'll feel like you don't get her at all. Now let's get into subtext, because women are the undisputed queens of it. A man will usually tell you straight up, "I don't like that restaurant." A woman might say, "Do we really have to go there?" That's not a question. That's a polite no. When she says it's fine, it might mean the exact opposite. When she says do whatever you want, you'd better believe she does not want you to do whatever you want. And when she says we need to talk, that's not a scheduling request. That's the thunderstorm warning before the hurricane. But here's the important part. She's not trying to trick you. She honestly assumes you're picking up on tone, context, body language, because that's how she communicates with her friends. Women grow up learning to read subtle emotional cues. Men don't. We grow up saying exactly what we mean. So when you miss the subtext, she doesn't think you're clueless. She thinks you're ignoring her, or worse, that you don't care. That's why arguments escalate over nothing. It wasn't nothing to her. It was a message you failed to decode. Now let's talk about attraction. Here's a pill that's hard for men to swallow. Women don't actually fall for the checklist guy. They fall for the guy who makes them feel. And the thing that kills attraction faster than anything else: neediness. Every man thinks if he just shows how available he is, how reliable, how willing to drop everything, she'll appreciate it. But to a woman, it signals the opposite of what you think. It says, "I have no life outside of you. I have no options." That's not romantic. That's suffocating. You want to know why women chase men who seem hard to get? It's not because they love the game. It's because scarcity signals value. Imagine a restaurant. If it's empty, you wonder if the food is bad. If it's packed, you assume it must be good. Same thing with men. If no other women seem to want you, she questions why. But if you're clearly valued, clearly busy, clearly not desperate, she feels like she's got to win you. That's why guys suddenly get hit on more once they're in a relationship. That's not coincidence. That's pre-selection. Women see you being wanted, and that validates their attraction. I'll give you an example. Years ago, I was dating someone casually, and I stopped chasing. Not in a manipulative way. I genuinely got busy with work and started living my own life again. And guess what? The less I texted, the more she blew up my phone. Where are you? Who are you with? Why didn't you answer? Did I change? Nope. What changed was her perception of scarcity. She felt like she might lose me, and that triggered her emotional investment. That brings me to another key piece of female psychology. Women value what they might lose more than what they already have locked down. If you're always there, always texting first, always free when she calls, there's no fear of loss, and without that tension, the emotional spark fades. It's not about playing games, it's about living your life so fully that you don't have to fake scarcity. You genuinely are busy, genuinely have options, genuinely don't orbit her every move. That energy is magnetic. Now let's hit the topic of emotional intensity. Men think women want calm, predictable relationships. Wrong. Women want emotional variety, not constant chaos, but ups and downs, surprises, passion, tension, relief. Think of it like music. If a song was just one note for 3 minutes, no matter how perfect that note was, you'd get bored. But if it has highs, lows, rhythm changes, breakdowns, and a big chorus, you feel it. Relationships are the same. If you're just reliable and steady 24/7, your background music, she'll drift. But if you bring moments of surprise, mystery, challenge, excitement, now you're a song she can't stop playing. This is why women sometimes stay hooked on men who aren't good for them. Not because they like being mistreated, but because those men deliver intensity. One moment he's pulling her close, the next he's distant. One moment he's promising the world, the next he's unpredictable. That roller coaster keeps her addicted. Meanwhile, the perfect nice guy gets left behind because he offers stability, but no spark. You want the secret? You don't have to be toxic to create intensity. You just need to stop being predictable. Surprise her, challenge her, say no sometimes. Show her that you're solid, but not a doormat. That tension between security and mystery is what fuels lasting attraction. And here's where most men get it backward. They think being endlessly agreeable is attractive. It's not. In fact, constant agreement breeds contempt. If you nod and smile at everything she says, you fail every unspoken test she throws at you. And make no mistake, women test constantly, not out of cruelty, but out of instinct. She wants to know, do you have a backbone? Can you hold your ground? Will you collapse under pressure? If you agree with everything, if you never push back, you're signaling weakness. And no matter how modern or progressive society claims to be, women are not wired to desire weakness. Here's something men completely miss when it comes to women. Attraction isn't logical, it's psychological. You can tick every box. Good job, nice car, solid income, polite manners, and still get left on read for some guy who lives in his mum's basement but makes her feel something. Why? Because women don't fall for resumes. They fall for experiences. They fall for the way you make them feel when you walk into a room, when you tell a story, when you hold your ground. Let me give you an example. I had a friend, successful guy. Everything on paper looked great. He'd take women on perfect dates, fancy restaurants, thoughtful gifts, even remembered little details like their coffee order. But after a month or two, they'd lose interest. One girl literally told him, "You're too nice," and he was furious. How can being too nice be a problem? But here's the thing, his niceness wasn't real confidence, it was strategy. He wasn't doing those things because that's who he was. He was doing them to earn approval. And women can smell that from a mile away. The moment she senses you're performing for her validation, you've already lost. Now compare that to another guy I knew. He wasn't rich, he wasn't polished. Half the time he showed up in beat-up sneakers, but he had this vibe like he didn't care if you liked him or not. Not in a rude way, but in a my life is already full kind of way. And women chased him. Why? Because he wasn't seeking their approval. He was living his life, and if they wanted to come along for the ride, cool. If not, also cool. That's the energy women respect. Here's a brutal truth. Women don't respect men who put them on a pedestal. They respect men who have their own pedestal and invite women to join them. If you make her your world, she'll get bored. If you have a world of your own, friends, passions, goals, ambition, she'll fight to be part of it. That's female psychology 101. Let's talk about drama, because every man complains about it. Why does she always start fights? Why can't she just be chill? Bro, let me tell you something that will save you years of frustration. Women create drama to feel alive, not because they love chaos, but because emotions are oxygen to them. If everything is calm for too long, she'll stir the pot just to see if you'll react. That doesn't mean she wants you to scream or lose control. It means she wants to feel intensity. She wants to know you're still invested, that you've still got fire in you. And here's where most men mess up. They either shut down completely, go silent, walk away, stonewall, or they explode like a volcano. Both are attraction killers. What works? Standing firm without losing control. She yells, you stay calm but sharp. She pushes, you push back with boundaries. That's when she feels both safe and excited. Safe because you're not a pushover. Excited because she knows she can't break you. You ever notice how women will pick a fight right before a romantic weekend, or even after a great date? That's not random. That's her way of testing the foundation. She's asking, is this guy strong enough to handle me at my worst? If you collapse, she knows you can't protect her. If you hold your ground without being cruel, her respect for you skyrockets. Now let's go deeper into something most guys don't want to admit. Women are not attracted to nice. They're attracted to real. Authenticity beats performance every single time. A guy who speaks his mind, even if she disagrees, is more attractive than the guy who agrees with everything. Think about it. If she says, I love this movie, and you secretly hate it, but nod along just to please her, you're not connecting, you're lying, and subconsciously she knows it. But if you say, honestly, I think it's overrated, and you say it with a smile, suddenly there's tension, playfulness, honesty. That's real. And real creates attraction. Here's a little psychological hack most men don't know. Disagreement can actually build attraction if it's playful. If she says, I love pineapple on pizza, and you say, that's a crime against humanity, with a grin, that's banter, that's fun, that sparks emotions. But if you nod and say, yeah, me too, just to please her, you're forgettable. And women don't fear losing forgettable men. Now let's talk about one of the biggest lies society tells you, that women want equality in attraction. They don't. They want polarity. They want contrast. If she's feminine, she wants you masculine. If she's emotional, she wants you grounded. If she's chaotic, she wants you steady. Two of the same energy doesn't create spark, it creates roommates. That's why so many modern relationships feel flat, because men have been taught to tone down their masculinity in the name of being nice or safe. And what happens? Women lose interest. I'll give you a real-world example. I once coached this guy who was the perfect modern gentleman. He split every bill, asked for permission before making decisions, always deferred to his girlfriend's opinion. On paper, he was ideal, but she left him. Why? She told him, I feel like I'm dating my best friend, not a man. Harsh, but real. Women don't want a co-pilot who asks for directions every 2 seconds. They want a captain who knows where he's going and invites her on the journey. And that doesn't mean being controlling. It means having vision, purpose, and confidence. If she says, where do you want to eat? And you say, I don't know. What do you want? Every single time. You're killing attraction. Take the lead. Make a choice. Even if she changes it later, she'll respect you for having a direction. Indecision is kryptonite for attraction. Here's the craziest part. Women don't even realize half of this is happening. They'll tell you they want equality, sensitivity, a man who shares his feelings, and yet who do they chase? The guy who stands his ground, who doesn't over-explain himself, who makes decisions without hesitation. Why? Because their biology is older than their social programming. Their words are modern, but their psychology is ancient. Think about it. For thousands of years, women survived by attaching themselves to strong men. Not just physically strong, but emotionally strong. Men who didn't crack under pressure, who could protect them, who could lead. That wiring doesn't just vanish because of feminism or modern culture. It's still there, running in the background. And the men who understand that, who stop trying to be perfect and start being solid, are the ones women can't forget. Let's get into one of the most controversial but undeniable truths about female psychology: hypergamy. That word gets thrown around a lot online, usually with anger, but let me break it down simple. Hypergamy just means women are wired to date up or at least across, never down. And before you roll your eyes, think about it. A female doctor rarely dates the male nurse. A female CEO isn't looking for the office janitor. It's not personal, it's biological. Women are attracted to men who are above them in some hierarchy: social, financial, physical, or emotional. Here's what guys get wrong. They think women are shallow gold diggers, but it's not about money, it's about potential. A broke artist who makes her feel alive can look like he's full of potential. Meanwhile, a stable accountant who bores her looks like a dead end. Attraction is emotional projection, not a financial statement. She asks herself, does being with this man feel like an adventure, or does it feel like settling? That feeling decides everything. And this is why so many successful women complain they can't find a good man. They're not lying. The pool above them gets smaller the higher they climb. Men don't have that problem. A successful man can date across, down, sideways. Nobody cares. A successful woman is wired to look up, and when she can't, she feels stuck. That's hypergamy in action. Now let's talk about competition between women. Because trust me, it's way more brutal than competition between men. Men compete openly. Stronger, faster, richer. It's in your face. Women, they compete in silence. It's social sabotage, reputation destruction, subtle digs disguised as compliments. When a woman says, "Oh, she's nice," 9 times out of 10 she means the opposite. And they've been practicing this since middle school. That's why they're so damn good at it. I'll give you a story. I was at a party once. 2 women talking. One says, "Your dress is so bold, I could never pull that off." On the surface, sounds like a compliment, right? But the tone, the timing, the side eye, it was an insult dressed as praise. Men miss this, women never do. That's female competition. Covert, psychological, and ruthless. And here's why you need to understand it. If her friends don't like you, good luck. A man might date a woman his boys can't stand and not care. A woman dating a man her friends hate? That relationship has an expiration date. Women need social approval in a way men don't. Her tribe's opinion matters, and if you ignore that, you're setting yourself up for failure. Now let's hit the fear of loss switch, because this is one of the strongest drivers of female psychology. Women value what they think they might lose more than what they already have guaranteed. That's why guys who are always available, always texting first, always ready to drop everything, get taken for granted. No fear of loss, no urgency. But the moment she senses you could walk away, suddenly you're priceless. This isn't manipulation, it's human nature. We all value scarcity. Think about a concert ticket. If you can buy it any day, you don't care. If it sells out in minutes, suddenly it's the most important thing in the world. Same with men. If you're sold out, busy, in demand, living your life, she'll treat you like you're valuable. If you're always on the shelf waiting for her, you're Walmart clearance. I had a personal experience with this. There was a girl who was cold to me, not interested at all. So I backed off, focused on my life, started seeing other people. Suddenly she was blowing up my phone. "Where are you? Who are you with? Why didn't you answer?" I didn't change. She changed because the fear of loss kicked in. That's how powerful it is. Now let's talk about emotional memory, because this explains so much about why men and women argue differently. Men remember facts. Women remember feelings. You could win every logical point in an argument, but if you made her feel dismissed, disrespected, or small, you lost. On the flip side, you could say nonsense, but if you made her feel understood, she'll forgive you. That's why women can leave men who look perfect on paper, because he made her feel nothing. And that's why women stay with men who look terrible on paper, because he made her feel alive. It's not logic, it's emotional memory. Here's another brutal truth. Women have an incredible ability to rewrite history once they're done with you. You might think you had years of great memories, but the moment she flips that internal switch, her brain rewrites the entire narrative. Suddenly, those happy vacations become, "I was never truly happy." Those good moments fade, the bad moments get amplified. It's a psychological defense mechanism. It helps her move on. But for men, it's devastating. That's why you'll hear guys say, "How can she claim she never loved me when we had all those good times?" Because in her mind, once she's done, she's done. And that brings us to female loyalty. Women are insanely loyal until they're not. When a woman is in love, she'll fight the world for you, forgive almost anything, stand by your side through hell. But once that switch flips, once the attraction is gone, you're a ghost. Men can forgive and forget. Women forgive, but they don't forget. And eventually, they stop forgiving too. When that happens, there's no going back. You've seen it. The guy who thinks he can win her back after she's emotionally checked out. He buys flowers, makes promises, cries, begs. It never works, because when she's done, she's already built a new story in her head, where you're the villain, and she's not coming back. Here's something most men completely misunderstand. Women don't want to lead. They want to test you until they find someone strong enough to lead. That doesn't mean being a dictator or a tyrant. It means being grounded, decisive, confident. Women push, argue, and challenge, not because they want control, but because they want to see if you'll crumble. If you do, they can't trust you. If you don't, they relax. They can finally surrender. That's the secret nobody tells you. Women don't actually want power in relationships. They want the illusion of power, the ability to challenge you. But deep down, what makes them feel safe is knowing you won't break, that you'll stay solid, no matter what storm they throw at you. That's the paradox. The more they test you, the more they're begging you to show strength. Let's talk about the modern battlefield, social media. 100 years ago, your grandfather might have been competing with a handful of guys in his town. Now, you're competing with thousands of men in her pocket, 24/7. Instagram, TikTok, dating apps. They've rewired female psychology in ways most men don't even realize. Here's how it works. Every woman today, even the average ones, gets constant validation. A single selfie, boom, 50 likes, 10 DMs, 5 comments telling her she's gorgeous. And those aren't all from average guys. Some are from men way above her league. Successful guys, blue check marks, celebrities. Does that mean she can get those men long term? No, But her brain doesn't know the difference between a like and a commitment. Attention feels like attraction, and when she's flooded with attention, her perception of value inflates. That's why average women now believe they deserve top-tier men. It's not arrogance, it's conditioning. Every ding of her phone reinforces it. But here's the twist. Attention isn't loyalty. Just because 10 guys dropped fire emojis doesn't mean any of them would actually show up when she's sick or pay her rent. But her psychology doesn't separate the two. To her, constant attention, endless options, and that creates something called choice paralysis. Too many options makes you less happy, not more. Ever scrolled Netflix for 30 minutes, overwhelmed by options, and ended up watching nothing? Same principle. Women with endless choices can't commit, because they're always wondering if someone better is a swipe away. And this doesn't make them happier. It makes them anxious, restless, dissatisfied, even with good men. That's why you'll hear women say, "I just feel like I can do better," even when they're dating a solid guy. It's not reality, it's the illusion of options. Now let's touch the infamous concept, the wall. Nobody likes to talk about it, but it's real. Female attractiveness peaks younger than male attractiveness. At 22, she's at her prime. At 32, she still looks great, but her options are shrinking. At 35, reality hits harder. Meanwhile, men, at 22, most guys are broke, unpolished, still figuring life out. But by 35, if you've built something, money, confidence, status, your options expand. That mismatch creates chaos in dating. Women waste their prime chasing excitement and rejecting good men, only to panic later when their options narrow. Men waste their youth getting ignored, only to flourish when they've leveled up. Is it cruel? Yeah. Is it unfair? Maybe, but it's reality, and pretending it doesn't exist only sets you up for failure. Here's another brutal psychological truth. Women don't process rejection the same way men do. When a man gets rejected, it scars him. He remembers it forever. He builds stories around it. "I'm not good enough. I'll never try again." But women, they reframe. "It wasn't the right time. He wasn't ready. We weren't compatible." They almost never say, "I wasn't enough." That's why women can keep shooting their shot emotionally without losing confidence, while men get one rejection and retreat for years. Now let's flip the script to loyalty. Women want commitment, but not from the men eager to give it. That's the paradox. The guy who says, "I'm ready to marry you, settle down, give you everything," gets labeled boring, low value. But the guy who resists, who makes her earn it, who's selective with commitment, that's the man she chases. Because in her psychology, if he has options and still chose her, that means she won. Scarcity creates value again. That's why the friend zone exists. Women keep men around as emotional backups. She may never be attracted to him, but he provides attention, validation, maybe even money. In her mind, it's fair because she told him we're just friends. In his mind, it's torture. But she's not malicious. She just compartmentalizes differently. She separates men I'm attracted to and men who provide benefits. And most guys don't realize they've been slotted into the second category until it's too late. Let's not forget dual mating strategy. The idea that women are attracted to different men for different reasons. The exciting bad boy for passion. The stable provider for security. Ideally, she wants both in one man. But if she can't, she'll juggle. Maybe in her 20s, she dates excitement and fun. By her 30s, she looks for stability. And sometimes she tries to mix both, dating the stable guy while fantasizing about the exciting guy. This isn't manipulation, it's evolutionary programming. And here's the last truth most men don't want to hear. Attraction isn't a choice. You can't negotiate your way into it. You can't buy it with gifts, earn it with good behavior, or argue it into existence. Attraction is triggered by certain psychological switches. Strength, scarcity, confidence, polarity. Either you flip those switches or you don't. So what does all this mean for you? It means stop wasting energy trying to make women logical. Stop expecting them to think like you. Stop resenting them for being different. Instead, understand the software they're running on. Once you see the patterns, the tests, the contradictions, it stops being confusing. You stop taking things personally. You stop chasing validation. You stop orbiting her like she's the sun. And when that happens, everything changes. You stop being the guy who gets ghosted and friend-zoned, and you start being the guy women fear losing. You stop being the man who begs for her attention, and you become the man she competes for. Because here's the final paradox. The second you stop needing women is the second they start needing you. The second you stop chasing is the second they start chasing you. The second you stop trying to solve the puzzle is the second the puzzle solves itself. That's the whole game. Not manipulation, not tricks, just understanding psychology and standing firm in who you are. The man who does that isn't mysterious. He's not complicated. He's simple, grounded, unshakable. And that's exactly why women can't forget him.